Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, Josh Sanch here, your host here on the Bodybuilding News Network. Specifically, my predictions for the men's open bodybuilding at this upcoming Arnold Classic, the 2023 Arnold Classic. Now, I do want to say that my only intention with this video is to advocate for athletes and promote shows. So if I do not place your favorite athlete where you want them to, please let me know where you would put them in the comment sections below, or DM me your thoughts on the video at the conclusion of the video if you find yourself not agreeing. Also, we are one day out from me arriving. I did not show up today. My flight doesn't leave till 3 hours from now, so I'm packed and ready to go. But I wanted to get out this prediction video because I had quite a few of you ask for it in the comment sections below. It's something I traditionally have always done, so it's something I wanted to make sure I get to you guys, you ladies and gentlemen, before we dig too much into the Arnold Classic coverage when we get on site. Now, starting off, my pick for last place pick is going to be Patrick Moore. So I think he doesn't look as sharp as the footage here from the 2019 Mr. Olympia. He doesn't look as sharp as he did at the Olympia the last time we saw him. Him coming in and hopping into the show relatively late, I think, is going to kind of prove to us that he's not really in the conditioning that he needs to be to make the placings that he's hoping to get. If that says anything, I know I'm being very cryptic and vague with things, but I do like the guy. I think he has crazy flow to his physique, and he does bring a very nice classic look to open bodybuilding before we started really seeing people jumping on the wagon for the tiny midsections. It's been a huge conversation as of late, especially with people like Phil Heath, Nick Walker, Big Ramy, these big monsters maintaining, or at least trying to maintain, those very tiny midsections. I did say in a recent video that I thought that Patrick Moore is going to be using the Arnold Classic as somewhat of a springboard for his contest season, with a good chance of him hopping into shows like the New York Pro, or possibly even the Arnold Brazil is just 4 or 6 weeks out from now. So very soon are a lot of options for him to try to qualify for the Olympia. Of course, the points being gone, he's going to have to win a show. Next up, second to last, probably 8th place, is going to be Justin Rodriguez. Again, one of these guys that just was so crisp and sharp at last year's Arnold Classic, and then just seemed to not really hit the nail on the head in terms of conditioning and fullness. The combination of both to make that perfect presentation, the perfect physique on stage. Now, again, I do like this guy. I wish he'd change his Instagram handle to something that had Rodriguez in it instead of just, Justin IFBB Pro. It kind of makes it a little difficult to search for him. Anyways, side tangent, I do apologize. Good physique, big, full. Him and John Rivas, the guy who just won the super heavyweights in the last video, I'd love to see a side-by-side of those two guys. They look very similar in some of their posing, and I think that's going to be something we might see in the near future. But Justin just hasn't looked sharp and crisp as we've wanted him to, and that kind of does speak a lot of volume to his decision for this Arnold Classic to be his last show of the year. Going to take an entire year off. I don't see him winning the show, so he's not going to qualify. He's going to take a whole year off, let the body heal, let the body just kind of get back to that crisp look, maybe reinvent the wagon, maybe bring on some new people to help him perfect the physique so he can be a little bit closer to what we remember him from last year's Arnold Classic, but Arnold Classic. So that's my pick for Justin Rodriguez. So Justin was the 8th. There's 10 competitors, right? So he's 8th. I'm going to put Kamal in 7th. And it hurts me to say this because Kamal is one of these guys that really brings phenomenal conditioning. Unfortunately, the size discrepancy has been proven in just last year with him and Akeem Williams, that the conditioning alone does not beat somebody who's just so much bigger and more dense. Now, Kamal doesn't have the craziest lat flare from the front. The legs aren't as thick and dense from the side. great arms, great chest. Midsection is, a little bit questionable, and I think that does hurt his placings, at least in the last couple Olympias. And of course, the open shows he did last year, I think it also hurt him as well. But again, great physique, good conditioning, great conditioning, some of the best conditioning we're going to see on the stage. But I do think, in the most respectful way possible, I can say that his best years are behind him. He did announce that he might be interested in doing the Masters if the money is right. So that could be a conversation to see, where he might land in that lineup. I do believe they're doing a 212 Masters, so he will definitely be in the conversation to place very well at any Masters Olympia that he decides to do, or really any Masters show in general that he'd be interested in doing. In 7th place, I have Akeem Williams. I know you're thinking, Sanch, Josh, why are you putting him in 7th if he's your dark horse pick? He is my dark horse pick to do well, and that is, the idea of the dark horse is a wild card. So if he does place better than 7th, I kind of anticipate it, right? It's kind of like a cheat where you're like, I don't know where to put this guy, so I'm going to just put him as my wild card. But as you see, as the lineup's going to progress, you're going to see why I put him in 7th. There's going to be some questions, I know, because you're like, there's a lot of people in front of him. And the big reason for this, besides this crazy side leg he has, is from the back, he's very, very soft. And even in the most recent physique updates, the only sharpness we really got to see from him was the Christmas tree shot, which really doesn't speak to exactly how he's going to show up on stage. It's a nice shot to have, but he needs to be able to show off a back double and a back lat spread and have very, very good conditioning to match with his size. He's going to be one of the bigger guys on stage. We actually have a very nice lineup for this Arnold Classic, so he's not going to be the biggest guy on stage, but he will be in that conversation for being one of the more larger statured and dense competitors on the stage. Do I want to see him place better than 7th? Absolutely. That's why I have him in my dark horse pick. But again, going back to the conditioning, he just hasn't brought the level of conditioning he needs to make the crazy, crazy good placements since the last time we saw him place well at the Olympia, where he scraped into 6th place. Now, again, another conditioning conversation here for 6th place, and I know it's going to be upsetting for many of you. I'm going to put Andrew Jacked in 6th place. Again, speaking to the back, the shows are won from the back. It's been a generational thing that people have said. It'll continue to be a talking point until the judges decide to change it and go with some other form of criteria. But Andrew Jacked has probably one of the most aesthetic looking front shots. The side shots need improvement in the posing, and the back shots need improvement with conditioning and thickness. Again, you can think of him similar to I don't want to say smaller Samson Dauda, but not as complete Samson Dauda. He still needs to make the improvements in the back to match the front, which is exactly the same conversation for Samson we'll talk about in just a little bit. But I'm going to put Andrew Jacked in 6th place if I didn't mess up the numbers, as I just think that it's going to be a very tall order for him. Could he knock out the next guy on the list? I do believe so. There's definitely going to be a conversation here when we look at what the judges are looking for. If they're looking for a completely capped out bodybuilder who, really doesn't have any lagging parts versus someone who is a brand new pro still building and growing their physique. And of course, I'm talking none other than Sean Clarita. Now, I'm going to put Sean Clarita in 5th place for these exact reasons. I think he is by far the most complete bodybuilder on stage, minus the chest. And even from some of these shots, the chest doesn't really seem that much of a lagging part. He's got a very well put together midsection. The lat flare with the chest raised up looks phenomenal. The legs are very complete. If anything, you could add some density and thickness to the adductors, the inner quads. from the side, very complete, great presentation, very wide up on the top of the shoulders. Great tan, by the way, for, a darker complexion gentleman. Typically, you don't think that they need to have too much tan on, but you can tell that he has quite a bit of tan based off of the neck to face ratio. But Sean Clarita is going to be another one of these really wild picks where I've heard quite a few people say he could place anywhere from first to fifth, and I completely agree. I'm going to put him in fifth, and who knows what the judges are going to do with that. The top five really could mix up quite a bit, except for who I have winning, I think can only fall to second place in possibly being challenged by two competitors, and we'll find out who those two gentlemen are in just a second. Now, I know you're thinking, where is William Bonac in this lineup? And I'm going to put William Bonac in fourth. I know this is a wild prediction. I'm putting a lot of faith into William's recent physique update, really showing off the small midsection, the improvements he's made. The side chest is one of the best side chests we're going to see on the stage at the Arnold Classic. He is one of the more seasoned competitors when you think of Arnold Classic champions. He's going for, I think I was looking at it, he's won two other Arnold Classics. He won the 2020 and he won the 2018 Arnold Classic. So he's going to be a guy who wants to get his third Arnold Classic title. I don't think it's impossible for him to win, but he'd have to beat out quite a few people that placed ahead of him. And already putting him in fourth, I think, has given him a lot of space to make those improvements. Now, next up, Big Ramy. So I saw some people say he's going to get first. Some people say he's going to get second. I haven't really seen anyone place him outside of third after 1 week out from the Arnold Classic. I think that's a safe bet. He's, when you think about the most recent Olympia, him doing on Fuad's podcast, they talked about seeing him doing cardio the day of. The posing was off. He wasn't spreading out the back double bicep, and the scapula was kind of tight, and he really wasn't opening it up. The posing was shaking. And then, it's hard to not talk about all the issues he's having. He's a great guy, but he was just around the wrong people, and the wrong people told him to inject oil into his legs, inject oil into, who knows, his shoulders. And then now he has the pinched nerve issue with the arm, which makes the left arm considerably smaller. It's over an inch smaller, and it is quite noticeable. Case in point right here, you can definitely see a discrepancy on the left arm. Now, could he move up? Sure. If he brings a crazy amount of conditioning and somehow the stem cell treatment that he's been going through fixes the bumps in the legs and the dents in the legs and all these weird things that are happening to his body that, he says he doesn't inject into the quads any type of oil, but yet he has things going on with his physique that show that something's wrong with it. So I don't know. I don't know if he can place higher than that. I wouldn't put him any higher than third or second. Samson Dauda. Samson Dauda is my second place pick. I think I put him higher than Big Ramy because I like Samson's physique better. I think it's a better representation of what bodybuilding is going to be in 2023 and beyond. I think Samson has a lot more potential to perfect his physique, whereas Big Ramy is trying to catch up to the physique. So saying that, the judges do have to judge what is in front of them on that day. So if something were to happen where Samson doesn't show up as sharp as we saw him just yesterday in those physique updates, and even today he was sharing a very complete front physique update in the last video. If he shows up any softer than that, he's going to fall in placings. He has to play the conditioning game. He can't play the size game because Nick Walker, who I have winning the show, has the size and has the conditioning. So Samson's the big thing for him is the aesthetics and the way he presents his physique. So if he can continue to do that while bringing the amount of size and enough conditioning, he could win the show. But the conditioning is going to be the conversation for him. How much conditioning can he bring without sacrificing too much muscle. That's my thought, and I'd love to hear your thoughts down below on what you think Samson Dauda's possibilities for placing here at the Arnold Classic will be for him. And like I just said, I have Nick Walker winning the show. I think he is by far the most exciting bodybuilder on the stage. He's a great ambassador for the sport. He brings, to include the things we just talked about, being a great ambassador and a good person, he also has a phenomenal physique. Very complete, very Jay Cutler-esque, but bigger. And the conditioning is spot on. He's been making improvements from what the judges have seen to what the judges see now, which I don't care what judges say. I'll ask Paul tomorrow evening when we do an interview with him. Surprise, surprise. Paul will be on Bodybuilding News Network again to recap the amateurs. But the judges do care about you making improvements from when they last saw you. So there's a lot going into these picks. Of course, some of them could get moved around. William could come up. William could go down. Big Ramy could go up. Big Ramy could go down. Andrew Jack could go way up, or he could stay right where he is. But those are my picks. Please support the Bodybuilding News Network by commenting, and sharing with a friend or a like-minded individual. Check us out at booth 1009 with Old School Bodybuilding Clothing Company. They made these awesome t-shirts with the sleeves are done and the back is done as well. You can purchase those, a sweatshirt and t-shirt, short sleeve and long sleeve, if you do want to support the channel in a financial manner. If we're sold out at Old School Bodybuilding Clothing Company's booth 1009 at the Arnold Classic Expo, you can go to bodybuildingnews.net and purchase a very similar shirt from the website. And of course, if you do make that purchase, please send me a picture once you do get the shirt, and I will put you on the wall. I'm building a wall with all my fans who have ordered merch. So a little bit longer video, but you ladies and gentlemen, asked for it. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm Josh Sanch, your host here, as always, on the Bodybuilding News Network, and I'll see you at the Arnold.